Today, we're delving into one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history, a case that has captivated the public's imagination for over 7 decades, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and haunting theories. This is the story of Elizabeth Short, better known as the Black Dahlia. On the morning of January 15, 1947, a grisly discovery shook the quiet Los Angeles neighborhood of Leimert Park. A young mother out for a stroll with her child stumbled upon a horrifying sight that would soon become the talk of the nation. There, in a vacant lot on Norton Avenue, lay the mutilated body of a young woman. Her corpse had been severed at the waist, drained of blood, and posed in a grotesque manner that seemed to mock the very essence of humanity. This was no ordinary crime scene. The level of brutality and the meticulous nature of the killer's work sent shockwaves through the Los Angeles Police Department and the entire city. Little did they know that this gruesome discovery would mark the beginning of one of the most perplexing and enduring mysteries in criminal history. The victim was soon identified as 22-year-old Elizabeth Short, an aspiring actress who had come to Hollywood with dreams of stardom. But instead of finding fame and fortune, Elizabeth's life was cut tragically short, her name forever linked to one of the most notorious unsolved murders of the 20th century. Born on July 29, 1924 in Hyde Park, Massachusetts, Elizabeth Short was the third of 5 daughters. Her early life was marked by hardship and loss. When Elizabeth was just 6 years old, her father's car was found abandoned on a bridge, leading many to believe he had committed suicide. However, Cleo Short was very much alive, having faked his own death to escape financial troubles. Elizabeth's mother, Phoebe, struggled to raise her daughters alone during the Great Depression. As a teenager, Elizabeth developed a fascination with movies and dreamed of becoming an actress. This burning desire would eventually lead her to California, where she hoped to make her mark in Hollywood. In 1943, at the age of 19, Elizabeth moved to Vallejo, California, to live with her father, who was working at the nearby Mare Island Naval Shipyard. However, their relationship was strained, and she soon left, drifting between Florida, Massachusetts, and California over the next few years. During this time, Elizabeth worked various jobs, including as a waitress and at the Post Exchange at Camp Cook in California. It was here that she earned the nickname Black Dahlia, a play on the film noir The Blue Dahlia, and a nod to her striking black hair and penchant for wearing black clothing. In July 1946, Elizabeth returned to Los Angeles for the last time, staying with friends and acquaintances while pursuing her Hollywood dreams. She was often seen at nightclubs and restaurants along Hollywood Boulevard, her vibrant personality and stunning looks drawing attention wherever she went. But beneath the glamorous facade, Elizabeth's life was far from perfect. She struggled financially and emotionally, often relying on the kindness of others for a place to stay. Her last known residence was the Chancellor Apartments on Cherokee Avenue, where she lived briefly before her disappearance. On January 9, 1947, Elizabeth was last seen alive at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She had allegedly been meeting a man who claimed to have connections in the film industry. What transpired after that meeting remains a mystery, lost to the annals of time and the killer's dark secrets. 6 days later, Elizabeth Short's mutilated body was discovered. The brutality of the crime was unlike anything the LAPD had ever seen. Her body had been expertly bisected at the waist, completely drained of blood, and washed clean. The killer had removed portions of flesh from her thighs and breasts and mutilated her face, carving a grotesque smile from ear to ear. The positioning of the body was equally disturbing. Elizabeth's upper and lower halves were posed about a foot apart, with her arms raised above her head at right angles. This deliberate arrangement suggested a killer who took pride in their work, perhaps even seeing it as a form of macabre art. The investigation that followed was one of the largest in Los Angeles history. Hundreds of police officers and detectives were assigned to the case, following up on thousands of leads and interviewing over 150 potential suspects. The media frenzy surrounding the case was unprecedented, with newspapers competing to publish the most sensational details. As the investigation progressed, a clearer picture of Elizabeth's final days began to emerge. Witnesses reported seeing her at various bars and nightclubs in the days leading up to her disappearance. Some claimed to have seen her with a dark-haired man, while others insisted she had been in the company of a woman. One of the most intriguing leads came from a pharmacist who claimed to have seen Elizabeth on January 14th, the day before her body was discovered. According to his account, she appeared disoriented and was in the company of a man he described as swarthy. However, like many leads in this case, it ultimately led nowhere. The investigation took a bizarre turn when, on January 24th, a package arrived at the offices of the Los Angeles Examiner. Inside were some of Elizabeth's personal belongings, including her birth certificate, business cards, photographs, and an address book with the name Mark Hansen embossed on the cover. The package also contained a taunting note made from cut-out letters, reading, "Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." This macabre delivery sent investigators into a frenzy, but despite extensive forensic analysis, no usable fingerprints or other evidence could be gleaned from the items. The promised follow-up letter never arrived, leaving investigators with yet another tantalizing but ultimately fruitless lead. As the weeks turned into months and months into years, the Black Dahlia case remained unsolved. Numerous theories emerged, each more sensational than the last. Some believed the killer was a prominent doctor, capable of performing the precise bisection of Elizabeth's body. Others pointed to various Hollywood figures, suggesting a cover-up to protect the rich and famous. One of the most persistent theories revolved around Dr. George Hoddle, a prominent Los Angeles physician. His own son, Steve Hoddle, a former LAPD detective, has spent years investigating the case and claims his father was the killer. Steve Hoddle's theory is based on circumstantial evidence, including his father's alleged connection to surrealist art, which some see reflected in the posing of Elizabeth's body, and statements from people who knew Dr. Hoddle. Another theory suggests that Elizabeth's murder was connected to the Cleveland torso murders of the 1930s. This series of unsolved killings shared some similarities with the Black Dahlia case, including the dismemberment of victims. However, no concrete evidence has ever been found to link the two cases. Over the years, dozens of people have claimed to know the identity of the Black Dahlia killer, or even to be the killer themselves. In 1949, a man named Leslie Dillon contacted the LAPD claiming to have information about the murder. His detailed knowledge of the crime led some investigators to believe he might be the killer, but he was eventually cleared of suspicion. In the decades since Elizabeth Short's murder, the case has become a part of Hollywood lore, inspiring countless books, films, and television shows. The image of the Black Dahlia has been seared into popular culture, a symbol of the dark underbelly of Hollywood and the enduring mystery that continues to captivate the public imagination. Despite the passage of time, the Black Dahlia case remains open. The LAPD still receives tips and leads, though the likelihood of solving the case diminishes with each passing year. The original investigators have long since retired or passed away, taking with them valuable first-hand knowledge of the case. For Elizabeth Short's family, the lack of closure has been a source of ongoing pain. Her mother, Phoebe, died in 1998 without ever knowing who killed her daughter. Elizabeth's sisters have largely avoided the public eye, preferring to remember their sibling as she was in life, rather than as the victim of a notorious, unsolved crime. As we reflect on the Black Dahlia case, it's important to remember that behind the sensational headlines and lurid details was a real young woman with hopes and dreams. Elizabeth Short was more than just a victim or a mystery to be solved. She was a daughter, a sister, and a friend whose life was cut tragically short. The enduring fascination with the Black Dahlia case speaks to our collective obsession with unsolved mysteries and our desire for justice, even decades after the fact. It also serves as a stark reminder of the dark potential that lurks within human nature and the devastating impact of violence on victims and their loved ones. As crime junkies, we're drawn to cases like the Black Dahlia because they challenge us to unravel complex mysteries and confront the darker aspects of our world. But as we delve into these stories, we must never lose sight of the human beings at their center, the victims whose lives were stolen, and the families left to grapple with unimaginable loss. The Black Dahlia case may never be solved, but Elizabeth Short's story will continue to be told. Perhaps in the retelling, we can find a way to honor her memory and ensure that she is remembered not just for the brutal manner of her death, but for the vibrant young woman she was in life. And so, the mystery of the Black Dahlia endures, a chilling reminder of a Hollywood dream turned nightmare, and a case that continues to haunt the annals of true crime history. As we sign off, remember to be safe, be kind, and don't forget, there are still countless unsolved mysteries out there, waiting for someone to shine a light into the darkness.